ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयामुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं। परमानन्दमाधवं कृष्णचैतन्य ईश्वरं। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Today we are going to speak and discuss on this verse. It's from Canto 10, chapter 12, verse number 11. So 7 to 11, they are together, but we are going to target the last verse. Okay. Let's chant this verse, and then we can read the chapter summary. And then today I was reading the purport of this verse, and in the purport, Prabhupada is profusely glorifying Bhagavatam. So I was thinking that, okay, in the class, let's do this verse. We'll discuss the pastimes of Aghasura, and we'll also discuss the glories of Bhagavatam today. So we'll glorify Bhagavatam. So let's chant it together 3 times. Yeah. Itam satam brahma sukhanubhutya. Okay, we can go call and response. That's okay. Itam satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatana paradevatena mayastritanam naragarakena sakham vijarukrita punya pujya itam satam brahma sutanubhukya dasyam gatanam paradevatena mayastritanam naratarakena sakham vijarukrita punya pujya itam satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradevatena mayastritanam naratarakena sakham vijarukrita punya pujya. Now,
Mayashritanam naradarkena
Can you open the summary, chapter summary? Yeah, you can also chant. Okay, who can read fast? Okay.
This chapter describes in detail Krishna's pastimes of killing Aghasura. One day, Krishna wanted to enjoy a picnic lunch with the forest, and therefore he went out early into the forest with the other cowherd boys, accompanied by their respective groups of calves. While they were enjoying their picnic, Aghasura, the younger brother of Putana and Bakasura, appears there. Desiring to kill Krishna and his companions, the demon who had been sent by Kamsa assumed the form of a python, expanding himself to a lake of 8 miles on the head of a mountain. His mouth seeming to extend from the surface of the earth to the heavenly planets. Having assumed this feature, Aghasura lay on the road. Krishna's friends, the cowherd boys, thought that the demon form was one of the beautiful spots of Vrindavan. Thus they wanted to enter within the mouth of this gigantic python. The gigantic figure of the python Python became a subject for their sporting pleasure, and they began to laugh, confident that even in this figure where dangerous Krishna was there to protect them. In this way, they pursued towards the mouth of the gigantic figure. Krishna knew everything about Aghasura, and therefore he wanted to forbid his friends to enter the demon's mouth. But in the meantime, all the cowherd boys, along with their groups of calves, entered the mouth of the gigantic figure. Krishna was waiting outside, and Aghasura was waiting for Krishna, thinking that as soon as Krishna entered, he will close his mouth so that everyone will die. While waiting for Krishna, he refrained from swallowing. Sorry, I cannot say that. The boys. The meantime, Krishna was thinking of how to save the boys and kill Aghasura. Thus he entered the mouth of the gigantic Asura, and then he was within the demon's mouth along with his friends. He expanded his body to such an extent that the Asura suffocated and died. After this, Krishna, by casting this nectarian glaze upon his friends, brought them back to life, and with pleasure they all came out unhurt. Thus Krishna encouraged all the demigods, and they expressed their pleasure and happiness for a cracked sinful person, there is no scope for Sajuja Mukti, or becoming one with the effulgence of Krishna, but because the Supreme Personality of Godhead entered the body of Aghasura, by his touch, this demon got to the opportunity to merge into the existence of the Brahma effulgence and thus attain Sajuja Mukti. When this pastime was performed, Krishna was only 5 years old. 1 year later, when he was 6 years old and he stepped into the Pauganda age, this pastime was disclosed to the inhabitants of Raj. Parishik Maharaj inquired, why is it that this pastime was disclosed only after 1 year, and yet the inhabitants of Raj thought that it had been performed that very day? With this question, the 12th chapter ends.
Thank you very much. So it says, attain the Sayujya Mukti. This Sayujya Mukti means merging with the Lord, merging with the Brahman effulgence. So it's saying, because Krishna walked on the in the body of Aghasur, he attained the Sayujya Mukti. Let's talk about this Muktis. So one can say why he attained the Sayujya Mukti. So we will discuss that later on. It's verse number 38. Prabhupada is saying something else also. So Sayujya Mukti means becoming one with Krishna's effulgence. And Swarupya Mukti means attaining the Krishna's form, like four-handed, like Vishnu form. So that's two different types of muktis. So basically this chapter is discussing Aghasur, the younger brother of Putana and Bakasur. He came to kill Krishna in Vrindavan. Aghasur is a big python-like demon. So he was 8 miles long and height of the mountain. And also Prabhupada is saying, seemingly touching the heavenly planets. It doesn't mean it was really literally touching the heavenly planets, but it is also described height of a mountain. So you can say, oh, it looks like it is touching the heavenly planets. Also, his mouth was smelling so bad. Prabhupada is also describing that smell, that because he ate flesh and bone, because of all the dead bodies which he ate, his mouth was smelling super, like very nasty, because when Krishna and cowherd boys were walking, they were experiencing this, and his eyes was like glaring fire. That's how his eyes was. So also in this last line, Prabhupada is saying, not in the last line, in the summary, he's saying, thought of performing very day. With this question, the 12th chapter ends. So that's of course, we have a question that how come it got disclosed 1 year later, even though the Aghasur was killed. So that Prabhupada is explaining in the second chapter after this. It's called Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Brahma is stealing the cows from the Vraj. So it's because of the time frame from the Brahma Loka, and the devotees came back. Okay, let's talk about this now. How can you attain this kind of association with Krishna? He's also saying, can you open the verse, Prabhu, translation? Okay, this is long. I will read this. All the boys were differently engaged. Some boys blew their flutes and other blew bugles made of horns. Some imitate the buzzing of the bumblebee and others imitate the voice of the cuckoos. Some boys imitated flying birds by running after the birds, shadow on the ground. Some imitated the beautiful movements of and attractive postures of the swan. Some sat down with the ducks, sitting silently, and others imitating the dancing of the peacock. Some boys attracted young monkeys in the trees. Some jumped into the trees, imitating the monkeys. Some made faces as monkeys were accustomed to do, and others jumped from one branch to another. Some boys went to the waterfall and crossed over the river, jumping with the frogs. And when they saw their own reflection on the water, they would laugh. They would also condemn the sound of their own echoes. In this way, all these cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who is the source of Brahman effulgence for Jnanis, desiring to merge into this effulgence, who is the supreme personality of Godhead, for devotees who have accepted eternal servitorship, and who for ordinary person is but another ordinary child. The cowherd boys, having accumulated the results of pious activities. So this is a question here. Pious activities for many lives were able to associate in this way with the supreme personality of Godhead. How can one explain their great fortune? This is very long translation. Also, it says pious activities. Now we immediately think, when we see pious activities, like, okay, how can you attain association with Krishna with pious activities? There is 3 different kinds of pious activities. Pious activity means sukruti, which we get. So first is bhogan mukhu sukruti, which you get material opulences, that is material piety. When you perform some pious activities in the material world, you get bhoga unmukhu sukruti. So you'll get heavenly planets, different places to enjoy the material realm. Then there is mokshan unmukhi sukruti, which it gives the liberation, enabling one to merge into the existence of Supreme. So when you perform dhyana yoga or gnana yoga, all of this will give you mokshan unmukhi sukruti. So some yogis are also meditating in the mountains. They don't know, they think God is formless. So impersonalist, they accumulate this moksha unmukhi sukruti. So they merge into the effulgence of the Lord. And third is bhaktin unmukhi sukruti. This awakens one's dominant Krishna consciousness. So I've heard in one class that even when you see a tilak of a devotee, so if a devotee is walking towards you, you're not a devotee, right? You saw the tilak, you got bhaktin unmukhi sukruti. And when it is accumulated to a certain level, your dominant love for Krishna is awakened. So we should put tilak so that people get sukruti, because these 2 lines is representing Krishna's feet, and there is a tulsi, which is also meaning that if you take shelter of tulsi, like Nitai Prabhu took, you will get Krishna's feet in very short time. Okay. And there is also a question, if you guys had it in your mind, let me clear it first. Krishna, when he was 5 years old, so from the advent of Krishna to 6 years old, it's called Kaumara age. And from beginning of 6 years to 12 years is called Paughanda age. So when Krishna entered the Paughanda age, then the pastimes was revealed to the Brajvasis 1 year later. And from 10th to 16th is called Kishore age. So we have a temple in Chicago. It's called Kishore Kishori. Very beautiful deities. So the deities also are very young. And from if you see on the window, every morning when the sun rises, sun is directly shining on the face of Lord. So you can see the face of Lord with the morning sunshine from the window right side. Kishore temple. So it's very nice temple. And the 4th is Yauvana age. So that is from 16th to forever. Say Navayovanam cha. Krishna is Navayovanam, always young. So he doesn't grow old after 16. In Mahabharata, in later on in the pastimes with Mahabharata, in Kurukshetra pastimes, Krishna had his grandsons, his sons and grandsons, but he was still young. So you cannot imagine Krishna with white hairs and long. He doesn't grow old. So this is the verse. And if we read purport, Prabhupada is profusely glorifying Bhagavatam here. Who would like to read it fast? Gopi Jivan Prabhu.
As recommended by Srila Rupa Goswami, Tasmat Kenapi Upanyena Mana Krishna Niveshayet. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 124. Somehow or other, whether one thinks of Krishna as an ordinary human child, as the source of the Brahman effulgence, as the origin of Paramatma, or as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should concentrate one's full attention upon the lotus feet of Krishna. That is also the instruction of Bhagavad Gita 1866. Sarvadharman parityaja mamikam saranam vraja. Srimad Bhagavatam is the easiest way of directly approaching Krishna. Ishvara sadyo ridya avarudyate tra kritibi shushrushrubi tat kshanat. Bhagavatam 112. Diverting even a little of one's attention toward Krishna and activities in Krishna consciousness immediately enables one to achieve the highest perfection of life. This is the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. Lokashya Jnanato Vidvans Chakre Satvata Samhitam. Bhagavatam 176. The secret of success is unknown to people in general, and therefore Srila Vyasadeva, being compassionate toward the poor souls in this material world, especially in this age of Kali, has given us the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. Bhagavatam 12, 13, 18. For Vaishnavas who are somewhat advanced or who are fully aware of the glories and potencies of the Lord, Srimad Bhagavatam is a beloved Vedic literature. After all, we have to change this body, tata dehantara praptihi. If we do not care about Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we do not know what the next body will be. But if one adheres to these two books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, one is sure to obtain the association of Krishna in the next life. Tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mam eti. Therefore, distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world is a great welfare activity for theologians, philosophers, transcendentalists, and yogis, yoginam api sarvesham, as well as for people in general. Janma labha paramam pushpam ante narayana smriti. Bhagavatam 216. If we can somehow or other remember Krishna, Narayana, at the end of life, our life will be successful.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. You see, if you zoom out in this purport, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4. Around 6 times it's written Srimad Bhagavatam with red letters. And Prabhupada is glorifying Bhagavatam so much that Prabhupada is giving a subtle message like, look at this Bhagavatam. He's also saying, where is that? He's also saying, Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. So for the Vaishnavas, Srimad Bhagavatam is the Amala Purana. It's very dear to the Vaishnavas. They carry it within their heart. Of course, Bhagavad Gita comes in that. It includes. When we talk about Bhagavatam, we are also talking about Bhagavad Gita. So, okay, let's chant this verse. And it's okay, you don't have to put it. We'll chant and we'll read the translation. Everyone will chant. We will chant it. We'll call and response. It's okay. 1343. This verse, let me give you a background of this verse. This verse is so special. Prabhupada, he was sitting in his room and he saw from the window that one devotee, one of his disciple, I think she got initiated or may not, she was new, I don't know. But one lady, she was coming from book distribution and Prabhupada saw her from the window and Prabhupada asked his servant, who is she? Is she coming from distribution, book distribution? And then he said, yes. So Prabhupada said, call her in my room. And then she was trembling that Prabhupada has called me. What is he gonna say? So she came and Prabhupada is like, come closer, sit down here. And Prabhupada was so eager to hear. He was saying, okay, what did you say? Were you distributing Bhagavatam? Were you talking about Bhagavatam? And she was saying, yes, I was distributing Bhagavatam and also talking, also preaching Bhagavatam to the dear material persons. So Prabhupada was asking, okay, whom did you meet? And she said, okay, I meet these doctors and lawyers and engineers. And Prabhupada said, okay, what did you say? What did you talk to them? Prabhupada was so eager to hear. And she said, okay, I said, Bhagavatam is the only literature we should carry. If we read just this Bhagavatam, our life will be successful and everything. And then Prabhupada asked his servant to bring the copy of Bhagavatam from the bookshelf. And Prabhupada opened this verse. And then Prabhupada said, you should read this verse. Prabhupada said to that devotee that whenever I read this verse, my inspiration of reading Bhagavatam even increases. My ruchi in Bhagavatam increases by reading this verse. So this verse also sometimes some Vaishnavas chant in the invocation prayers. So let's chant its call and response. Krishna Swadhama Upagate Dharma Jnanadi Bisaha Kalau Nashtem Dishamesha Puranarko Dhunodhitaha Krishna Swadhama Upagate Dharma Jnanadi Bisaha Kalau Nashtem Dishamesha Puranarko Dhunodhitaha. So this verse is saying, Krishna Swadhama Upagate. When Krishna went back to his abode, Dharma Jnanadi Bhisaha. Even dharma and knowledge went back with him. So it was completely dark, this world. And then he says, Kalau Nashta Drishamesha. Because of Kali Yuga, influence of Kali Yuga, dharma and Gnana Adi Bhisaha went back. And then he's saying, Puranarko Dhunodhita. So we can also say that Krishna again took birth on this planet in the form of Bhagavatam. He came back. He was so worried that what will happen to this material realm, that if I'm leaving. So Krishna is non-different than Bhagavatam. So he came back. And in the translation, it says, the Bhagavat Puran is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Person who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Puran. So this is a very special verse. We should memorize this verse. And sorry, I'm kind of crunching in because I have prepared so much. I need 2 hours at least. But Shruti Prabhu told me, please end the class by 8:30, including discussion. He messaged me. So we'll keep it. We'll go a little fast because I also wanted to read word-to-word meaning for that shloka, but we can read it later. I'll give you the quotation. Let's chant another verse. We are doing Bhagavat Mahima right now. Prahlad Maharaj is saying in 764. Let's chant. If you just hear it, you will get it. You don't have to even see the verse. Tat prayaso na kartavyo yatha ayu vayah param na tatha vindate kshemam mukunda charanam bhujam mukunda charanam bhujam. This verse is saying, endeavors merely for sense gratification or material happiness through economic development are not to be performed, for they result only in loss of time and energy with no actual profit. If one's endeavors are directed towards Krishna consciousness, one can surely attain the spiritual platform of self-realization. There is no such benefit from engaging oneself in economic development. So this verse is saying that we should only put our time in a way where we are getting spiritual credits. because our time is limited on this planet and we want to go back to Godhead as soon as possible. So whenever we are doing something, we should always think, is this thing going to benefit me or not? Like a businessman, cost benefit analysis. Is this going to be benefiting for me too or not? So even in Ramanand Rai Samvad in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking Ramananda Rai, who is the most intelligent person? Ramananda Rai is saying, Krishna Bhakta Ei Bada Chatur. He's saying, the devotee of Krishna, he is the only one who is intelligent. Because if you see, I see all the devotees are the best businessmen, all the devotees, even if they are not doing material business. You can see this body is 10 cents. What is the body of this? Flesh and bone. It will go back to the soil when you are dead. So material people, or even dhyana yogis and karma yogis and gnana yogis, they invest something and they get something. It's like investing $1 getting 100, investing $1 getting $1,000. But a devotee is investing his body and his time in a sense where Krishna Bhakta Ei Bada Chatur means he is investing in a way that this 10 cents of body, which has no value if it is not used in Krishna's service, he's using this body and getting infinite return on investment. If you see, Satchitananda Vigraha we attain by just using this body. Like just using this body, our time, we attain the Satchitananda Vigraha. We'll go back to Godhead. It's a very nice business, right? That's why in Ramananda Rai Samvad, Ramananda Rai Prabhu is saying this. So there is one more verse. I have a lot of verses. Let's go back to our. We'll chant this verse later. Let's go back to the verse, original verse 10, 12, 11. Just stay in that verse. It's okay. Okay, let's go. 10, 12, 1 to 3. Let's read these three verses. 1, 2, and 3. I can read this verse, or maybe I'll just explain the summary of the verse. Let's see. Sukdev Goswami continued. Oh, king. He's talking to Maharaj Parikshit here. One day Krishna decided to take his breakfast as a picnic in forest, having risen early in the morning. He blew his bugle made of horn and woke up all the cowherd boys. Can you imagine if we do that in Krishna house? Ashram leaders do that. They blow that horn in the people's ears every morning. Oh, you thought about it? When I was small, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, in my village, I used to sleep outside in a khatia, which is made of 4 legs, and you sleep outside. And every morning at 4 o'clock, people used to do Harinam. Temple pujaris, there was a Ram temple right next to my house. And they used to come out and they do Harinam Kirtan, 4 o'clock to wake up everyone. And they come with that gong. Yeah, I used to like, okay, why is this guy coming this morning? I used to hate them so much. Like they're coming near the khatia and they're playing the gong in your ears. They're chanting the name. That's the kind of alarm in the villages. Okay, so Sukdev Goswami, after taking, he's saying Krishna decided to take his breakfast as a picnic in the forest after having risen early in the morning. He blew his bugles made of horns and woke all the cowherd boys and cows with its beautiful sound. Then Krishna and the boys, keeping their respective groups of calves before them, proceeded from Vrajbhumi to forest. And then in the second verse, it's saying, at that time, hundreds and thousands of cowherd boys came out of their respective homes in Vrajbhumi and joined Krishna, keeping before them their hundreds and thousands of groups of cows, not hundreds and thousands of cows. In one group, there can be so many. So hundreds and thousands of groups of calves. And then he's saying the boy wears very beautifully, and they were very beautiful. They were equipped with lunch bags, buggles, flutes, and sticks for controlling calves. So you can imagine not just the Krishna, the boys, cowherd boys are so beautiful. He's saying, along with the cowherd boys and their own groups of cows, Krishna came out with unlimited number of cows. I heard Christina's talk on Facebook, and she was trying to say in how can we fit everything in 84 square miles, right? It says, along with them, Krishna came out with his unlimited number of cows. So we cannot imagine it because we have a material mind, but he came with unlimited number of cows assembled there. All the boys began to sport in the Vrindavan in greatly playful spirit. Also in the fourth verse, it's saying, although all these boys were already decorated by their mothers with ornaments of kacha, gunja, pearls, and gold, when they went in forest, they further decorated themselves with fruits, green leaves, bunches of flowers, peacock feathers, and soft minerals. So kacha means glass. Kacha means glass, and gunja means gunja berries. So also they decorated themselves with gunja berries, pearls, gold. If you just imagine, you cannot comprehend how beautiful just the cowherd boys were. Even in Canto 10, chapter 20, verse number 1, Sukdev Goswami is saying, Itham sarat swachha jalam padmakara sugandhina navishadvayuna vata sahgo gopala kauchuta. That means when the boys entered the forest, Itham sarat swachha jalam padmakara sugandhina. There was fresh fragrant of Padma, means lotus, in the atmosphere. Navishadvayuna vata sahgo gopala kauchuta. The boys were so beautiful. We don't want to, we don't have enough time to read all that verse. And in second verse, he's saying, after this verse, it goes like this. Itham sarat swachha jalam padmakar sugandhina navishadvayuna vata sago gopala kochuta kusumita vanara jishushmi bringa. In the second and third verse, let's, okay, I'll open that verse. It's okay. Sorry, it is chapter number 21, actually. So in chapter number 21, it is, this is actually a Gopi Geet. There is 21 verses, 20 or 21 verses. This is Gopis are glorifying Krishna's flute. Just Krishna's flute they are glorifying. It goes like this. Kusumita vanaraji shushmi bringa dvija kula ghoshta sarasarim mahendram madhupati ravagaya charayanga saha pashupala balaschuku javenum. Let me read the translation of this. This says, the lakes, rivers, and hills of Vrindavan resounded with the sounds of maddened bees and flocks of birds moving about the flowering trees. The companies of the cowherd boys and Balaram, Madhupati, and then he's writing brackets, Shri Krishna. Krishna's also another name is Madhupati. Entered that forest, and while herding the cows, he began to vibrate his flute. This verse came in my mind because we are already talking about where Krishna is just going in the forest, and then he's gonna later on kill demon Aghasura, right? So this is very nice verse. Also in verse number 5, in Canto 10, 21, verse 5, it says, Barhapi idam natavara vapuhu karnayo karnikaram bibhrad basah kanaka kapisham vaijayantim chamalam randran venuradhara sudaya purayangopa vrinde vrindaranyam swapadaramanam pravashid gita kirtihi. Nitai Prabhu, can you open that verse? 10:21:5. There's so many beautiful verses. If you see all the verses together, you'll be very inspired to read Bhagavatam every day. Yeah. I'll read the translation. Wearing a peacock feather ornament upon his head, Karanayo Karnikaram, also blue Karnikar flower on his ears. So Krishna is also putting that flower in his ears. A yellow garment as a brilliant gold. You can just imagine while I'm saying this. And a Vaijayanti garland. Krishna also wears this particular type of garland, which is called Vaijayanti Mala. Lord Krishna exhibited his transcendental form as the greatest of dancers as he entered the forest of Vrindavan, beautifying it with the marks of his footprints. He filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, and the cowherd boys sang the glory. We are already in Canto 10, so we can discuss this all right, because it's not going esoteric. We'll not see verse 6. It's okay. Okay. Let's come back to Bhagavat. So now these are very beautiful verses. I got that signal. These are very beautiful verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. We should always read Bhagavatam. There is plenty of opportunity reading Bhagavatam here. If you go in library, there is Bhagavatam. Kameshi Mataji has put Bhagavatam in a way you don't even have to bend. There is Bhagavatam already set up. You don't even have to bend. You can just pick up. There is one Bhagavatam here. I think you cannot take this Bhagavatam anywhere else because I got chastised. So you cannot take this Bhagavatam anywhere else. But the Bhagavatam library, I think you can move around that Bhagavatam. There is third Bhagavatam in attic on the third floor. In the boys' ashram, there is third Bhagavatam. Another one. We have the Bhagavatam lectures here, Bhagavad Gita lectures here by Prabhupada. So it's everywhere in Krishna house. You can pick up books from everywhere. No, not just this, because this is, if you take this book out, you'll get chastised out of temple. Huh? Yeah, not taking out Bhakti house, but we can move around in the Bhakti house, in the library. So just in the Bhakti house, in the library. Maximum to kitchen and not outside. Right? Yeah. Can I get few more minutes? Do you have time? Okay. I hope Nanda is late. Okay, meanwhile, we'll chant this Bhagavat. Yeah. Somebody can ask, where should we read Bhagavat? Like where? People can ask. So that day, me and Nitai Prabhu were discussing. Huh? Bhakti house. Yeah, that's a place. But there is a... Anyways, we can read in temple hall. We can read it there. But this verse is saying in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya 5:131. It says, we can chant. You don't have to open. It's okay. It's very small. Okay, you already open? 5:131. Antya 5:131. Yeah. 131. Okay, let's chant this verse. Yaha Bhagavata Pado Vaishnavera Sthane Ekant Ashraya Kara Chaitanya Charane Yaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavera Sthane Ekant Ashraya Kara Chaitanya Charane. It's saying Vaishnava Sthane. This is the Vaishnava Sthan. Sometimes I don't feel inspired to read at my place, so I come here just to read. This is the Vaishnava Sthan. If you see, there is 48 in the group or something like 40 devotees around in Krishna house. So if you read here, there is even more potent with the association. It says Ekanta Ashraya Kara Chaitanya Charane. So take the shelter of the lotus feet of Shri Krishna Chaitanya only, and then study Bhagavatam at the place where the Vaishnavas are there and with the association of Vaishnava. In the purport also it says, self-realized Vaishnava and hear from them. You can do this whenever you have completely taken shelter of lotus feet of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Bhagavatam is like different ingredients, you know. If you give me 10 ingredients to cook something, now the food will be cooked according to my level. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Or oats maybe. Maybe we can cook Maggi, that's it. But if you give those 10 ingredients to the very high classic cook, if you give those ingredients to the cook, now the food will be prepared on their level. Now the food we will eat, it's on their level. So Bhagavatam is like that. You study Bhagavatam. If you study alone, you will hear, you will read the language and you'll get it according to your mati. But if you study Bhagavatam with a pure devotee or a self-realized Vaishnava, it also includes online association. If you guys are reading on a group call or something, that's also included. And also we have so many Vaishnavas here. So we always taste Bhagavatam's verses in the association of the self-realized Vaishnavas. So that's there. Also, when we concluding, let's conclude this. 2 minutes, she said. Also, yeah, let's conclude. Let me conclude this with let me conclude this and then we'll go for the question and answer. So it says self-realized Vaishnava. So Narad Muni says, not Narad Muni, Lord Shiva says, Shivratri just passed. Lord Shiva is saying, Aham Vedmi, Sukho Vetti, Vyasa Vetti na Vettiva. That means I know Bhagavatam. Sukhdev Goswami knows Bhagavatam. Vyasadev may or may not know Bhagavatam. Now this is very big statement. How can you say that Vyasadev may or may not know Bhagavatam? He created Bhagavatam, right? How can you say that? But if you consider Vyasadev as a planary in expansion, planary incarnation of Lord Krishna, then he doesn't know Bhagavatam. Because Krishna doesn't have bhakti for himself. But if you consider Vyasadev as a disciple of Narad Muni, then he knows Bhagavatam. Now he's in a disciplic succession with Narad Muni. Now he's acting as a devotee. So if you consider Vyasadev as a devotee, then he knows Bhagavatam. Because Krishna doesn't have bhakti for himself, right? So that's why our Shama Sundar becomes Gaur Sundar to read Bhagavatam. Gaur Sundar is coming on 6th of March. Right? 6th of March. Yeah, 6th of March. The date is, I saw it in the calendar, but I was not very sure. So 6th March, Gaur Sundar will come. One more verse. Last. Yeah. Do I have permission for everyone? Questions? Okay. Let's go for the question and answers. We don't have enough time. We can pass the mic. Yeah, we don't have questions, then we can wrap it up and then we can go for the breakfast. Yes.
What part of Srimad Bhagavatam are you reading right now?
What part? I am reading 3 cantos right now together. Yeah. It's going simultaneously. Yes. Yeah. Anyone else has any question? Everyone is hungry for the breakfast. Hare Krishna. Let's conclude this. Hari Bol. Sorry, I made you guys sit here. Vaishnavas are so hungry. Let's take breakfast here. Ki jai.